Welcome back to Houston Life. It all began with a small prayer group that aimed to raise awareness about the exploitation of trafficking. And over time, this group evolved into a powerful movement.
Yeah, through outreach programs, interventions, and of course prayer, Elijah Rising is actively working to end trafficking in Houston and support survivors of trafficking. Joining us with more about their mission is Elijah Rising's communications director, David Gamboa. David, welcome to Houston Life.
Thank you for having me on the show.
Yeah, so this is a subject that we know in Houston is a major problem, but how does the group Elijah Rising, how would you even look for a victim of sex trafficking?
So we look for missing children. That's a big one. You know, online there's posters of missing children. So we go to places like hotels, motels, places where they have recovered children in the past. But we also look for places where prostitution is common. Wherever you find prostitution, you will find trafficking victims as well. And we also go online. Unfortunately, there's a lot of websites that review women and they rate and review them. And
wow.
It's even divided out by ethnicity and, you know, just all these different things. And people go online and they look and then they go to these places to purchase.
If your jaw is dropping at home, that's a good thing, because I think people need to be aware that this is happening in our city.
Yes.
It's happening in many cases almost right under our noses. One thing about Elijah Rising, David, is there's a safe house where people can go. Essentially, victims of trafficking can go. So describe to us what that looks like in the process, because, of course, getting away from the situation is the first part of getting away from it, right?
Right. Yeah, and so in order for someone to heal, you know, like in movies like Taken or Sound of Freedom, it's all about the recovery. It's all about, you know, pulling someone out of that life. But what doesn't get talked about is on the back end, how are you going to rebuild your life?
Yeah.
When we look at someone who's come into our safe home, we're realizing they've probably been trafficked since they were children. And that's many times the case.
Wow.
They've been trafficked since they were children into adulthood. So a lot of times while everyone else was in school, they were being sold. And so what we do is look at kind of those gaps in their life. You know, are there educational gaps? Are there legal services we need to provide? And we create kind of an independent program for them so that we can help rebuild those aspects of their life. And it's a 1 to 2 year program. So we have housing, food, clothing, legal services, medical. We have a psychologist on staff providing trauma therapy. So we really it's an intensive 1 to 2 years. It's not, you know, an easy thing to do. But they walk through this journey and we just come alongside and help and offer support.
Right, and it's one of these things where the more people that you help, the more safe homes you're going to need, right? So how is Elijah Rising dealing with that, the growing need for more safe homes in the United States? Yeah,
so a lot of the women we receive come from all over the U.S. And in fact, we've even received one, you know, woman that was trafficked internationally.
Wow.
And so there's a huge need across the U.S. for safe homes. And so, you know, we're hoping to one day have like an apartment complex or something where we could house a lot of different individuals at different stages of their journey, where they can have that safe place for healing.
Yeah.
Viewers out there might be, I don't know, feeling just depressed and overwhelmed. And again, this is something that people don't want to acknowledge is happening, but the reality is it is happening.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
And there's got to be something we can all do to get involved, to help put an end to it, or to help someone who's maybe been in this situation, as you said, David, get back on their feet and get away from years, if not decades of abuse.
Yeah, and a big facet of what we do is prayer. And this can be a heavy topic. It can be an overwhelming topic. And in fact, we feel powerless at times because the problem is just so large. But we always come back to that place of prayer and just having a conversation with God and bringing our concerns, our cares. And I've seen him do impossible things. And so that's really a big part of our mission, is to believe for the impossible. And encourage that type of faith in the women that we serve.
Are there any tangible ways that someone could help?
Yeah, you can go to ElijahRising.org, and we have a bunch of monthly supporters, $5, $10 a month. All of that adds up, and it goes towards providing all these services, housing, everything that we provide are supported by individual donors.
Yeah, and then these prayer groups, you lead, they're open to the public, and sometimes they'll be led by musicians and things like that. So you are coming together in that way.
Yes.
And then tangible donations also being accepted for this.
Right, and we do train volunteers that feel called to go out and do outreach. So we do outreach once a month.
Okay.
We do several outreaches in Spring Woodlands, Baytown, and Houston. We do those once a month.
Awesome. Awesome.
David Gamboa, thank you so much. It's incredible work. Very, very important for
Yeah,
sure.
and thank you to our KPRC2 community sponsors, Energy Transfer and Houston Christian University, for raising awareness on this specific issue.
And again, for Elijah Rising's free online resource to learn more about trafficking and how you can help with their mission, you can visit ElijahRising.org.
Yeah, thanks again.